Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Today we're going to talk about a new color trend within the fishing world. This is something that a lot of you probably aren't even aware is happening, but it is happening across the board on all different lures out there, whether soft baits or hard baits. You're going to see this color trend happening more and more, I think, because I do think it's actually making a difference in helping a lot of people catch fish. Before I share this trend with you, though, I do want to remind you, if you're looking for more content from me, check out my members only page by going to my YouTube homepage, click the join button, find out everything you need to find out there. Also, if you want to support the channel in another way, you can use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link, which I'll put in the video description to make your tackle purchases. You can even bookmark that link for future purchases, and a little bit from each of those purchases come right back to the channel. Really just kind of helps offset some of the costs of making content for YouTube. So if you would like to use that, it would be very, very much appreciated. All right, so if you happen to be at Tackle Warehouse and you're scrolling around the website, what you're probably seeing is that a lot of the baits, whether soft bait or hard bait, have a very similar color hue to it. Now, if you listen to a lot of YouTubers like myself, a lot of anglers, you hear them talking about color generally in terms of translucent versus opaque. Opaque are solid colors, translucent means you can see through the bait itself. What you don't hear most people talking about is the finish on the bait. And the biggest trend going within fishing baits right now is a matte finish. And what I mean by matte finish is it's a dulled down look. It's not a shiny, shiny bait. Now, this is happening both on hard baits as well as soft baits. And it is being driven by a lot of the top level professional anglers out there. We're basically going to the tackle companies saying, hey, we don't want a bait that's really shiny. And there's a few reasons for that. If you've got a bait that gives off a lot of flash, that can definitely be helpful at times, but it can also be a deterrent. It's not uncommon to be fishing shallow water. You see a fish cruising the bank, and you make a cast, and that cast on a sunny day, the bait will actually reflect that shine or that bait and create a shine, and you'll spook the fish. You see this happen both with bass, bluegill, anything that's up shallow. Your bait is 15 feet up in the air, halfway to where it's going, and the fish spooks because they can see the flash coming through the air and they think of it as something that potentially could be a danger to them. If you throw a matte finish bait, it gives off just a fraction of the reflection that a shiny bait will. So what you're seeing is manufacturers specifically come out with matte finish baits. This is a Berkeley Chapo, the Maverick color. It's a really dulled down black. It's not shiny at all. You see the same thing happening in soft baits. So the Berkeley Max Scent line of baits, this is the Creature Hog, very, very toned down bait. A lot of the matte finish baits too, when you use them, will actually kind of start to show wear and tear. So they'll almost get like a dull, fuzzy look, like a grayish look to it. This happens with a lot of them just based on, in order to tone down that shine, a lot of times it's the actual material that they apply to it. You're seeing it with a lot of your minnow baits right now. Like this is a Sakamata shad. You can see how dull that looks. They just almost look cloudy. This is a jerk shads by Z-Man. They could make these baits and put a shine on them if they wanted, but most anglers are saying they don't want that. They actually want a dull look. Now, for me, there are times when I do want some shine, and that's either on low light conditions. So maybe I'm fishing at night, maybe I'm fishing early in the morning or late in the evening, maybe I'm fishing on a cloudy day. Maybe I'm fishing some off-color dirty water. That's generally when a little bit of shine helps. But if you're fishing clear water, which generally is a lot of times where guys are fishing their minnow baits these this time of year at least, uh, that's when they actually like to tone it down. You don't need that flash and that shine when you're fishing clear water or you got sunny conditions because the fish generally have they know it's there. They can sense it with their lateral line, so they don't necessarily need to see it. And when they do see it, a lot of times that shine isn't necessarily a fish calling thing. But you're seeing it across the board right now, whether it's your jerk baits, your crank baits, your top waters. Companies across the board are going with matte finishes on their paint scheme as well as in the soft bait selection. I just gave you three here, but if you go into your local tackle store and you go down and start looking at colors, you'll be surprised at how many dull finishes there are. And that's being driven by the professional anglers and a lot of the top level anglers that are requesting those dulled down matte finish on both soft baits and hard baits. So let me know what your thought is. I personally a huge fan of the matte finish. I am not a big fan of baits that have a ton of reflection. There's very few times where I like to have a lot of reflection, and a lot of that goes back to personal experience. The example I gave you in the beginning is just one of hundreds of times I've had that happen. Here is a really good example. I've got a lot of shallow lakes around my house that are filled with pads. And when I was younger, one of my favorite baits to use was a Johnson silver minnow with a pork frog, a Uncle Josh pork frog on the back. You know, a silver minnow is nothing more than a spoon. Well, on a sunny day, you could take that bait. If you cast that bait, you would spook as many fish, if not more, than the number of bites that you'd get. And they wouldn't be as you're retrieving the bait, it would be on the cast. So it was very, very clear that those fish were seeing the flash of that spoon as it went through the air and they would spook. Well, it didn't take me that long to recognize that they were spooking because of the flash that was giving off. And we would actually go by either a colored spoon or we would take markers or paint and actually paint the spoon black, and you would take it out there and you would spook a fraction of the fish that you would spook with a silver spoon. But you would not spook fish if the sun wasn't out. If it was a cloudy day, you could cast that spoon all day long and spook very, very few fish. So they really do sense that flash, and it's not always a positive thing. Now, if you're fishing in a school of bait fish that are flashing all over the place and the fish are feeding on that, yes, that can be a beneficial thing for you. But overall, I personally am not a huge fan of your really flashy baits. I would much rather have a matte finish, even down to my boat wrap, guys. I have a black boat wrap that we go with a matte finish on it so that it doesn't reflect the sun, which one hurts my eyes, and two, I think can reflect and actually throw off the fish. If the fish catch the reflection from the boat, I think that can be a bad thing. So I specifically choose a matte finish on my boat wrap to help limit the amount of reflection both for the fish and myself. Let me know in the comments section, what are your thoughts? Is matte finish paint schemes and color schemes a trend in the fishing industry? And if so, is it a good trend? Do you think it actually helps you catch more fish, or do you think it's just something to catch the anglers? Let me know in the comment section. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned, we'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.